The entire city of New Orleans has turned on Dennis Allen and Derek Carr. This is from Strike Sports Saints Discussion. This young man right here is filming in his vehicle as he's driving. A controversial yet brave way to do a video. I would not recommend this. If you want to start doing videos, I would recommend sitting down. I would recommend not driving. I'd recommend focusing on the video, not also focusing on the lives of the drivers around you. So let's get past the driving. He is wearing a seatbelt though, so that's good. Very nice. Let's get to the video.
Hey, yo, what's good, man? It's your boy, Derek Branch here.
I mean, you can, right here, very low level of effort focused on the road. I mean, he's staring at me, at the camera. The road is an afterthought in this perspective right here.
You know, saying discussions on Strike 7 Sports. In today's video, I just want to talk about what went down yesterday with the New Orleans Saints in regards to the media, man. It was just a lot that transpired over the airwaves, I would say, since Tuesday.
So I think what he's talking about is in the wake of the Falcons game, obviously, the Saints have done a ton of media. You know, they do media after every game. They do media before every game. And the answers have been less than satisfactory from literally everyone. And we've covered a lot of the interviews on the channel. Derek Carr's interview, Mickey Loomis's interview, Dennis Allen's interview, everyone's interview has been, I would say, just kind of lip service. It's been a lot of cliches. It's been a lot of, everyone is saying the same thing, that here's the interview. Everyone is saying, are these people delusional? Like, are they, what are they watching? What are they seeing? And I agree. It's way too deep into the season for them to keep telling us things are good, things are okay. You know, we're a top 12 offense. You know, we're better than you think we are. We need you to stand with us. Like, the city, the fans are tired of hearing of it. So it has been it has been an awful week, perception wise, for the Saints.
When Mickey Loomis went on WWL with Mike Haas and pretty much kind of like, spoke up for Dennis Allen. Just, you know, saying how the offense is highly ranked 12 in total offense, and what were the things they were doing to get into the red zone, and all the yards and the metrics they put up. And listen, I ticked a lot of people off. A lot of people were upset by that. A lot of people were ticked off by what Loomis was saying. And,
people want to think and they want to believe that people inside of the organization, for any sport, for any professional organization, it's not just the NFL, but people want to think and believe that their organization cares about the fans. They want to believe, like, hey, if I care this much about this team, and I support this team, and I'm doing my part, and I'm putting this much effort into a team, they're hoping that the GM, the owner, the coach, the players are putting in the same amount of effort, and they care, and they want to win, and they're doing whatever it takes to win. So I think what happens is whenever Loomis or Allen or whoever comes out and says everything is fine, when it is obviously not fine, it gives the impression that they just don't care. And they're not going to do anything about it. They're just going to keep letting it be this miserable and this bad. And that is what I think really has turned the tide on how the Saints feel, or the Saints fans feel.
Loomis wasn't going to go on national TV on the Saints, pretty much the Saints controlled the platform and throw his coach under the bus, the man he hired under the bus. He going to stick up for him. You know what I'm saying? That's just that simple. But I mean, these stats don't really mean anything. These metrics, yardage, all of the high percentage of yardage you're throwing and all that, don't really mean anything.
Doesn't mean anything at all
when you not winning football games
or not even scoring.
Pretty much empty calories.
It is empty calories. And go back to because I've had some people in the comments say this as well. Like, what do you expect Loomis to say? What do you expect these guys to say? They're not going to throw each other under the bus. They're not going to, whatever. That doesn't have to happen. Like, I understand that Loomis isn't going to go on WWL like this guy said, basically a Saints run station, he's not going to go on there and say Dennis Allen is awful and Pete Carmichael's awful and Derek Carr is awful. Like, he's not going to do that. But what I think fans want is for him to come out there and acknowledge this isn't good enough. To acknowledge, we understand the fans are, they're used to better than this. We want to do better than this. We're going to try and do better than this. I believe in the people we have. Like, that's all fine. But that is totally different than telling us we have a top 12 offense. I don't need him to throw Allen and Carmichael and Carr under the bus. But to swing the other direction and say, fellas, what are y'all so mad about? We have a top 12 offense when we have one of the worst offenses in the NFL. When we just came off of a horrible loss on a holiday weekend where we kicked 6 field goals, where we didn't score a touchdown. Derek Carr hasn't thrown a touchdown pass in almost a month because we had the Falcons game, we had the Vikings game, we had a bye week. You're talking about Chicago. I mean, that was a month ago. So to go like that is where there's a level of disconnect. It should be, right now should be the time of accountability, should be the time of calming concern, telling the fans it'll be okay. We understand. We're going to try and get through this together. But to just completely ignore the negative aspects of what's been going on and to turn it into a positive. I mean, I said this on another video, but if you're a top 12 offense, I would consider that a job well done. I would consider that everyone's doing their job. Good job Pete Carmichael, good job Derek Carr. I've said all year long, if we have a top 12 offense, that's good enough to win the Super Bowl. That's good enough to at least compete for the NFC. We don't. Listen, I hate to be the one to break it to Mickey and Dennis and Pete and Derek. We don't have a top 12 offense. I don't think we have a top 20 offense. You can't have a top 12 offense when you can't score. Bottom line. So I don't know if Mickey is going by ESPN fantasy football rankings or what, but it's just not the case.
You know what I'm saying? Carr got like 10 touchdowns and 9 picks.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about the picks.
Year in that category.
I don't know about the picks, but 10 touchdowns is correct.
Then, it went into yesterday with the media availability with the players. And,
yeah.
Nick Underhill, shouts out to him about New Orleans football, asked him a question about, the red zone issues. And I'm paraphrasing here, but, what's being done to, solve that issue, to fix the problem. And Carr said, something along the lines of, you keep asking me these questions and all that, and that's between me, Pete, and Dennis Allen, and you keep asking me these same questions, I'm gonna give you to get the same master. That's the same master. Now, I didn't go and read the article that Nick Underhill wrote, but I heard that he went in on him. He went in on him. And
so we reacted and watched this exact interview he's talking about. We talked about this, this answer and all that. It was Nick and Mike Triplett from New Orleans football were really pushing against Carr. They were the ones that were really asking the tough questions. And, I've obviously been very complimentary of New Orleans football, but that's what we need. That's what teams need. They need the reporters there that are going to hold these guys accountable. I mean, Mike Triplett told Derek Carr to his face, with a microphone in his face, said, hey, by the way, you are 36 out of 36 qualifying quarterbacks when it comes to scoring within the 12-yard line. Why? That's a tough question to ask. It's a tough question to hear. So, yeah, kudos to New Orleans football for the questions. If you want a full breakdown of that interview and all that, if you haven't seen it, obviously we have it on the channel. Please go check it out.
They also had some more questions with Dennis Allen. And Dennis Allen was saying, well, we're not going to play the blame game out here. We're not going to blame Derek Carr for what's going on. And, people was ticked off at that. Ticked off by him saying that because, You know what I'm saying? Well, he wasn't quick. He was quick to throw Jameis under the bus and say this about Jameis Winston and do this and do that. But Derek Carr gets a pass. Well,
I mean, guys, like, one player, the team has $150 million in. The other player do not. It's the same thing you can see in Minnesota, right? Josh Dobbs had a bad game against the Bears. Immediately after, there's talk of him being benched. If the Vikings had paid Josh Dobbs $100 million, they would let him go a little further before the benched conversation begins. Same with Bryce Young. Bryce Young is playing no better than Mac Jones. Why isn't Bryce Young being benched? Because he was the first overall pick. This is his first season. They have way more. They traded up to get the pick. So it is not, and I say this all the time, it is not player and player are equal. You have to factor in the investment into the player. You have to factor in the age of the player. You have to factor in all that stuff. Derek Carr will be here next year. He has to be here next year. So if you bench Carr now, or if you throw Carr under the bus now, you're basically punting next year. And you're punting Derek Carr. You're punting the $30 million or whatever you're going to pay him. And then you got to cut him. Then you got to pay even more to cut him. So Allen is tied to Carr. Allen drafted Carr. Allen went and got Carr. Allen basically chose him to try and save Dennis Allen's job. So Dennis Allen's not going to besmirch the guy. Besmirch, word of the day. He's not going to besmirch the guy that he's basically attached himself to as part and parcel. So you have to factor that stuff in. That's just roster mechanics 101.
It is what it is. It sucks, you know what I'm saying? Because Jameis Winston, whether you want to like it or not, Jameis Winston picked up this offense far better than Derek Carr did in his first year with the team. But it didn't sound. But however, Jameis Winston had Sean Payton to work.
Yeah, totally different. I mean, and that's something else that has been a hard transition, is to see the Sean Payton stuff, because a lot of the players are the same, right? A lot of the players are from the Payton era. So you see Kamara, Thomas, Olave, whatever, you see them thrive with Payton. Even Winston to an extent. You see that, and then you see Taysom, and then you see what we have now, and it's like, why are these players getting worse? Why isn't the production there? And the answer is super simple, guys. You take away one of the greatest offensive minds of our generation. And that's what Sean Payton is, whether you like him or hate him. One of the best offensive minds of our generation. And you replace him with someone who is, by every metric, the worst offensive play caller in the NFL. This is what you get. This is a good example of how much scheme, game planning, coaching, all that stuff, how much this matters. I mean, you can't really undersell for a player what it's like to play in that system, and then what it's like to play in this disjointed mess that the Saints have right now.
And Derek Carr has Pete Carmichael, but
yeah,
12 weeks into the season, man, I just didn't expect this.
I didn't either.
I expect Carr to be a lot better.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
But a lot of people are mad at Derek Carr, his brothers, the team, the whole city is pretty much formed a mutiny against Derek Carr.
We're
entire
close.
City of New Orleans.
But it's not that bad yet. There's still time to save it.
The only way they get out of this stuff, man, is by
went out. Yeah, went out.
If they don't win, they just gonna keep going and going and going and going. He's public enemy number one, man.
I'd say he's number 3.
It's just what it
Allen,
is, man.
Carmichael, Carr.
Dennis Allen, Derek Carr are his public enemy number one. And if this don't get turned around soon, regardless of what Mickey Loomis said, I think he's gonna fire everybody. That's what I think.
This is how I think it's going to play out. So the fans, the city, we're holding out hope that we can still win 10 games. We can still win the division. We can still host a playoff game, which is very possible. Very possible. You're talking about you go 5-1, okay? You lose to Detroit, whatever. Then you beat the Giants, the Bucks, the Falcons, the Panthers, and the Rams. Not exactly murderer's row, okay? All you got to do is go 5-1. Then you're a 10-win team. You win the NFC South. You get a playoff game at home. We'll figure it out in the offseason. Now, the other side of that is if you lose 2 of those games, okay, so you lose to Detroit, let's say you lose to the Rams. I don't know. All of a sudden now, you win 9 games. You probably don't win the NFC South. You obviously don't win double-digit games. You don't host a playoff game. And it's a complete failure. So the city is kind of waiting for it to be a confirmed failure. And if it does get to that point, I think Mickey will clean house. I don't think there's any way he can bring back Dennis Allen and Pete Carmichael. Derek Carr, like I said, he's staying. 1 more year. But when you look at Dennis Allen's record as a head coach, it speaks for itself. One of the most consistently losingest head coaches in NFL history. Maybe the most consistently losingest. Because I don't know if any head coach has lost at the rate that Dennis Allen has lost at and has had such a long tenure as a head coach. Pete Carmichael, regardless, I think is gone. I think Pete will walk away from the job. Or, if he was being brought back, I think he'd walk away. He didn't want the job in the first place. Well documented that he had to be talked into taking the offensive coordinator job. He takes it. They give him another year because they're bringing in Carr, and it's gotten even worse. So why the hell would Pete Carmichael want to do this again? If he didn't want to do it 2 years ago, after this 2 years of getting just destroyed in the media literally every day, why would he want to do this? So I think they'll fire Pete regardless, or he'll walk away, however you want to frame it. He may just flat out retire. Guy's been doing this for 20 years with the Saints. Allen, and I've also mentioned this before, but if you fire Allen and Carmichael, you have to find a head coach, a DC, and an offensive coordinator. That's a lot. That is a lot. That's a lot in an offseason. Now, obviously, the head coach is probably going to be one of that. Like I've mentioned hiring Brian Flores and Ben Johnson or Eric Bieniemy. Some of that combination. And then it's if Flores is the head coach, he's also the DC. If Bieniemy's the head coach, he's also the OC. So it's you can... 2 coaches are going to take care of those positions. But it's still a lot. You're still getting a brand new defensive scheme, a brand new offensive scheme, a brand new leader of the team. It's a lot, for sure. So, asking for both to be fired might be a little too much change for Mickey.
Because 5-12, 8-9, 7-10 isn't what he had in mind. I'm pretty sure that ain't what he had in mind.
5-12 would be nuts.
This ain't going well. Michael Thomas posts up on his stories with a video of Drew Brees, speaking highly of the players and speaking highly of him. And I'm thinking that's kind of sending another shot at Derek Carr not to do that, of what he did, but I don't know, man. I don't know why Derek Carr's not learning this offense, bro. I don't know why. But for his sake right now, it's not good, bro. The city just don't like him right now. Everybody is fed up with him. Even the people that were defending him and, sticking up for him and, giving him the benefit of the doubt, they starting to get weary. You know what I'm saying? They're starting to get upset.
It's very difficult to defend right now. It's very difficult to defend Derek Carr. It's very difficult to defend any part of this offense because of how bad it's been. We're 12 weeks in. The sample size is big enough now to where it is difficult to defend what we're watching.
You know what I'm saying? But they all bought this on themselves, man. Bought this on themselves. You bring back, this happens when you bring back players, trying to be too loyal to people. Asian players slow. Defense got slower. You know what I'm saying? It has. And Dennis Allen does not hold anybody accountable. He does not hold the players accountable for nothing. Players can go out there and slip up, make the most mindless mistakes, elementary mistakes, and go right back in the game. Chris Olave gets arrested. Been doing over 70 miles in a 35 and a 35 mile per hour limit. No consequences. Just go play. At least bench him for like a quarter or two. You know what I'm saying? Because they ain't like to throw him to him. It ain't like Derek Carr is, throwing to him all the time. You got to send some type of message to the players. It just...
Well, look, I mean, again, Dennis Allen's coaching for his job. So for Dennis Allen, I don't think he believes he's got the time to do that. I don't think he has the time. He believes, like, if you're Dennis Allen, you're sitting there and you're saying, well, our offense is terrible. People hate us. Like, our offense is a joke. It probably isn't a great idea for me to make that worse by benching, theoretically, our best receiver. So, and again, that goes with the Derek Carr stuff. Allen knows he's on the hot seat. So everything Allen does is trying to stabilize his job. He's trying to stabilize being one of 32 people in the world that's a head coach in the NFL. So he's not going to bench Chris Olave. He's not going to bench Derek Carr. He's going to go down with these guys. He's going to go down with the people that he has around him, the people he's chosen, the people he's, so the time for accountability as far as like coach, player, all that, he doesn't have the time for that at all, And I also don't think, I mean, this happens when you lose, where everything gets under a microscope, but I don't have a problem with a lot of the people that brought back defensively. Like, I don't know if he's talking about Cam Jordan. I don't know exactly who he's talking about, but I don't really have a problem with that. The defense obviously has played worse as of late, but they certainly held up their end of the bargain at the beginning of the season. I think Carl Granderson has been a fantastic player. Lattimore is hurt now, but he's had a hell of a season. Pete Werner and DeMario have been good. So, Brian Brzee has been good at times. Obviously, you're going to have weak links. I mean, we're not the monsters of the midway of football past. We're not the steel curtain, but I don't think you can shine a light on like the defense and just say blow this part up too. I think the defense is fine. If the defense had a capable offense, it'd be a different story. They do need to be better as of late. The defense has not been good. I don't want that to be misconstrued. I don't think the defense has been playing, elite stellar ball. They were earlier on, but now they have certainly slipped up. But I don't think having Cam Jordan on the roster or these quote unquote aging defensive players, I don't think, I think it's fine with Cam being here. I think you do have to factor in sometimes too with players like Cam Jordan. You have to factor in a leader. You have to factor in a franchise guy. You have to factor in someone who's been a stabilizer in that locker room. And we don't really know all that. The team or the fans don't really know that part of who is the guy there. Like, who is the guy holding these guys accountable? And sometimes that is just as valuable as what they're doing on the field. I know Cam Jordan's not getting sacks like he used to and all that, but if he's contributing as a veteran leader in the locker room, franchise guy, all of that, I think it's fine that he's there.
It's gotten too loose. It's too loose. Nobody fears him. It ain't like, I know he's not showing Payton, and that's his nature, but you gotta be some type of disciplinarian to a certain extent, man. But he ain't doing that. And the players are running rampant. Fan base is fed up with him, and all kind of stuff is just coming out. All kind of, stuff coming out.
That just shows you like the difference in winning and losing. The Dolphins are sweet, right? Everyone loves the Dolphins. Everyone thinks they're fun to watch. Has anyone ever asked if Mike McDaniel is a disciplinarian in the locker room? No. I've never heard one way or the other any report about McDaniel, benching players or finding players or holding players accountable or his style of being a disciplinarian. No one asks because they're winning. No one asks because they're scoring points, right? Is Andy Reid a disciplinarian? I don't know. Do you know? I have no clue. You know, when you're winning and scoring, that kind of stuff never comes into question. Ever comes into question. I could not tell you Mike McDaniel's disciplinary style. Is Sean McVay? I don't know. No one ever talks about it. So it shows you the microscope of winning and losing.
Out of woodworks about Carr and back during his time with the Raiders, that Nico Grimes, the wife of Brent Grimes, I don't know if he's still married now, but the former NFL cornerback with the Bucks, played a few other teams, said that the Raiders offensive line didn't block for him, allowed him to get injured because he refused to he wanted the players to stand for the anthem, and they wanted to kneel. And there's a whole bunch of mess, man. Everything coming out. Things about maybe somebody needs to sell a team, they need to sell a team to somebody else, and the Raising Cane's do need to buy it, and Gail Benson don't care anymore. Doesn't really.
I mean, that's when you know. That's when you know we're in a bad spot. Whenever we're talking about the Raging Cajun, Todd Graves, I believe is his name, buying the Saints. I don't think Gail Benson. There's some owners that are very, very involved in a team, and there's some owners that aren't. I don't think it's a positive or a negative to go either way. Like, I don't think having Jerry Jones or David Tepper basically be the president, basically be the owner and GM. I don't think that's great nor bad, and the other way around too. I don't think how Gail is just the owner and then she trusts, Mickey and the front office to run the team. I don't think that's bad either. So the ownership, nothing to do with the success of the Saints. I don't think. I mean, very, very, very rarely is the ownership style going to trickle down to the success of a team, I would say. It's much more important who you have in that head coaching role, and obviously the roster build from a GM or whoever's making that decision. Sometimes it's a combination of the GM and the coach. Payton was very instrumental in the roster building. You can see that in Denver. He's very instrumental, but we need to focus on the head coach. We need to focus on the offensive play caller. We need to focus on the scheme, the game plan, the on-field stuff. We don't need to focus on how likable Derek Carr is to former cornerbacks, or who's owning the team, the name of the stadium, all that stuff.
It's just all kind of stuff, man. Derek Carr doesn't spend any time in New Orleans. I mean, the way the season going, why would you want him to be around there?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be out there.
I mean, it's just, when you're not winning, these are the things that happen. Everything come out of the woodwork. Everything.
Yeah.
And the Saints fan base, it's just us being spoiled, man. It's just us having so many years of stellar production at the quarterback position. So many years of, going on 7 to 10 game winning streaks, putting yourself in position to compete for a Super Bowl, securing getting home field advantage, hosting playoff games. We had so many years of doing that, man. And it just, when it's gone, it's gone. When it gets taken away from you, it gets taken away from you, man. And that's what the Saints are going through right now. Dennis Allen, I don't know if he's the guy, man. I don't know if he's the right guy for the job.
He's not. I can go ahead and tell you that. He's not a head coach in the NFL. He's proven that 20-49 or whatever record. I mean, the Saints, it's funny because if you look at Payton and Breeze and that whole era, they had a couple seasons. I believe they had 3. Someone double check me. It might have been 3 in a row where they went 7-9. And if you think about how good Drew Brees was and how great of a coach Sean Payton is, the idea that they could go 7-9 once. I mean, Tom Brady never had a losing season. And the idea that they could go 7-9 once, much less 3 times, much less in a row. And I hope I'm right about that. I believe it was, again, someone double check me. But the idea that that could happen, it just goes to show you how much trust the team and the fans had in Breeze and Payton, right? Like they went 7-9, whatever. They trusted Payton to turn it around. They trusted Breeze, that Breeze was the guy. There was never a conversation of bench Breeze until the very end when he was hurt. There was never a conversation during the early stretches of like, maybe Breeze isn't the guy. Maybe he's not the one. People knew he was. People had faith that those players would turn it around. There is no faith in that. And that is a huge hole to fill. I've mentioned this before, but really think about it. For a franchise to lose their most beloved player in Drew Brees, their most successful player ever, the best player in franchise history, for where I'm sitting, top 5 quarterback to ever live. In my opinion, number 2. I think Brees is the second best ever, behind Brady. To lose that and lose the most successful coach in your history, who was there for almost 20 years, to lose them at virtually the same time, that the Saints, it's undersold how much the Saints lost from an identity standpoint, from a culture standpoint, all of that. And you can't just replace that with anybody, especially when, like this young man was saying, the Saints were relevant, the Saints were exciting, the Saints were competing, the Saints were, scoring points and rattling off win streaks. We go from that to losing Payton, losing Breeze, and then replacing them with a defensive guy. So we're already in a huge culture shift, but then we have a shift of how we even look from a fan perspective. Immediately gone are the days of 50-point games and throwing the ball all over the field and all of that. And then it shifts the total other way of, all right, now we have a defensive culture. Now we have a culture of a defensive head coach, more conservative game plan. Well, then he starts losing, which is also a shift. We're not used to that. We're not used to losing. We're not used to this style of game. So it's just been such a change for the fans. And we're going on, 3 years now, post-Breeze, where the fans want, and this is a good problem to have if you are a team, because it's a good problem to have where you want the fans to be vocal. You want the fans to care, and the fans do care. I mean, the Saints are, as the Pelicans have been exciting at times over the last year and a half, this is a Saints city. Everywhere you go, every bar I go into, there's a Saints flag or a Saints sticker or, a helmet or a jersey or whatever. This team is very connected to the Saints, or this city is very connected to the Saints. The fans don't want what we have right now, which is a mediocre, irrelevant product. The worst thing you can be in sports is irrelevant. Be exciting. Be watchable. The Saints aren't watchable right now. Kicking 6 field goals on Thanksgiving weekend against the division rival out of a bye week isn't watchable. And all the people we have at the forefront aren't giving us anything to be confident in. I think the Saints will make changes this offseason. I think they're very needed. And I hope whoever Mickey finds is the right guy culture-wise. I mean, I really, really hope the next head coach, the next offensive coordinator, the next play caller get us back to the style of Saints football that we had for 15 years.
I just don't. You can be mild-mannered, man, but you got to have some type of edge to you, man, where the players fear you, man.
I don't think so.
It, bro.
I don't think so.
And the city, I would say like 80 to 90% of the fan base is done with Dennis Allen.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Even the people I've had conversations with.
I have not talked to anyone that likes Dennis Allen.
Just in the restaurants, just anywhere. They said, man, nah, he's not the right coach.
No.
He's not the right guy.
No, he's
Even
not.
talk to family members about it during Thanksgiving. Nah, he ain't the guy, man. He ain't the guy. Get us a different coach and see what happens. But they're off the Dennis Allen train. the entire city. So
yeah,
they got Detroit this week, and this would be so on brand for the Saints to do. They're not expected to win. They probably won't win, but they're gonna probably play with their hands on fire. That's so Saints, so that's on brand for what that team does. When you expect them to win, to play hard, they don't. When you don't expect them to do anything, they come out guns blazing. So I won't be surprised if we see a shootout this Sunday, but we'll see. All right, that's all I have for y'all.
I'd be shocked. I'd be absolutely shocked if we got into a shootout. Oh, I wouldn't be shocked if we won a low-scoring game. We defensively could kind of corral Detroit, and Derek Carr had some turnovers and whatever. But I'd be absolutely stunned if we won like a 35-33 shootout. If we won a 42-35, just an offensive show. I'd be absolutely flabbergasted if that was the case. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching the video. Let me know in the comments below. Are you fed up? What do you think? This is a conversation about really the feeling of the city, the fans. So this is the time for you to go down in the comments below. Let me know what you think, where you are on this, and I'll be down there replying. Ladies and gentlemen, drive safely. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.